Om Sai Ram, Chapter 2 of Sai Satcharitra. In the last chapter, the author mentioned in the original Marathi book that he would state the reason that led him to undertake the work and the persons qualified to read the same and such other points. Now, in this chapter, he starts to tell the same. In the first chapter, I described Sai Baba's miracle of checking and destroying the epidemic of cholera by grinding wheat and throwing the flour on the outskirts of the village. I heard other miracles of Sai Baba to my great delight, and this delight burst forth into this poetic work. I also thought that the description of these grand miracles of Sai Baba would be interesting and instructive to his devotees and would remove their sins. So I began to write the sacred life and teachings of Sai Baba. The teachings of Sai Baba, the life of the saint, is neither logical nor dialectical. It shows us the true and great path, incapacity and boldness in undertaking the work. Hemadpant thought that he was not the fit person to undertake the work. He said, I do not know the life of my intimate friend, nor do I know my own mind. Then how can I write the life of a saint, nor or describe the nature of incarnations, which even the Vedas were unable to do? One must be a saint himself before he could know other saints. Then how can I describe their glory? To write the life of a saint is the most difficult, though. One may as well measure the depth of the water of the seven seas, or enclose the sky with the cloth trappings. I knew that this was the most venturous undertaking which might expose me to ridicule. I therefore invoked Sai Baba's grace. The premier poet saint of Maharashtra, Sri Jnaneshwar Maharaj, has stated that the Lord loves those who write the lives of saints, and the saints also have a peculiar method of their own of getting the service which the devotees long for successfully accomplished. The saints inspire the work. The devotee becomes only an indirect cause or the instrument to achieve the end. For instance, in 1700 Saka year, the poet Mahipadi aspired to write the lives of saints. Saints inspired him and got the work done. So also in 1800 Saka year, Dasganu's service was accepted. The former wrote four works: Bhakta Vijaya, Santa Vijaya, Bhakta Leela Amrit and Santa Kada Amrit, while the later two wrote Bhakta Leela Amrit and Santa Kada Amrit, in which the lives of modern saints were described. In the chapters 31, 32, 33 of Bhakta Leela Amrit and in chapter 57 of Santa Kada Amrit, the sweet life and teachings of Sai Baba were very well depicted. These have been separately published in the Sai Leela magazine. The readers are advised to read these chapters also. So also Sai Baba's wonderful Leelas are described in a small decent book named Sri Sainath Bhajana Mala by Mrs. Savitribai Raknath Chendilkar of Bandra. Dasganu Maharaj has also composed various sweet poems on Sai Baba. A devotee named Amidas Bhavani Mehta has also published some stories of Sri Sai Baba in Gujarati. Sainath Prabha, a magazine published by Dakshina Bhiksha Sanstha of Shirdi, are also published. Then the question of objection comes in that while so many works of Sai Baba are already there, why should this Satcharitra be written? And what is the necessity? The answer is plain and simple. The life of Sai Baba is wide and deep as the infinite ocean, and all can dive deep into the same and take out the precious gems of knowledge and bhakti and distribute them to the aspiring public. The stories, parables, and teachings of Sai Baba are very, very wonderful. They will give peace and happiness to the people who are afflicted with the sorrows and heavily loaded miseries of this worldly existence, and also bestow knowledge and wisdom both in the worldly and in the spiritual domains. If these teachings of Sai Baba, which are as interesting and instructive as the Vedic lore, are listened and meditated upon, the devotees will get what they long for, like union with the Brahman, mastery in eightfold yoga, bliss of meditation, etc. So I thought that I should call these stories together. That would be my best upsana. This collection would be most delightful to those simple souls whose eyes were not blessed with the Sai Baba's darshana. So I set about collecting Sai Baba's teaching and expressions, the outcome of his boundless and natural self-realization. It was Sai Baba who inspired me in this matter. In fact, I surrendered my ego at his feet and thought my path was clear and that he would make me quite happy here and in the next world. I could not myself ask Sai Baba to give me permission for this work, so I requested Mr. Madhav Rao Deshpande, alias Shama, Baba's most intimate devotee, to speak to him for me. He pleaded for my cause and said to Sai Baba, "This Anna Sahib wishes to write your biography. Don't say that you're a poor begging fakir and there is no necessity to write it. But if you agree and help him, he will write, or rather, your grace will accomplish the work. Without your consent and blessing, nothing can be done successfully." When Sai Baba heard this request, he was moved and blessed me by giving his udi and placed his boom besting hand on my head and said, "Let him make a collection of the stories and experiences, keep notes and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I should write myself my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego, place it at my feet. He who acts like this in life, I help the most. What of my life stories? I serve him in his house in all possible ways. When his ego is completely annihilated and there is no left trace of it, I myself shall enter into him and shall myself write my own life. Hearing my stories and teachings will create faith in devotees' heart, and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. Let there be no insistence on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refute others' opinions, no discussion of the pros and cons of any subject. The word discussion put me in mind of my promise to explain the story of my getting the title of Hemadpant, and now I begin to relate the same. I was on close friendly terms with Kaha Sahib Dikshit and Nana Sahib Chandorkar. They pressed me to go to Shirdi and have Baba's Darshana, and I promised them to do so. But something in the interval turned up which prevented me from going to Shirdi. The son of a friend of mine at Lonavala fell ill. My friend tried all the possible means, physical and spiritual, but the fever would not abate. At the length, he got his guru to sit by the bedside of his son, but this too was of no avail. Hearing this, I thought that what was the utility of the guru if he could not save my friend's son? If the Guru can't do anything for us, why should I go to Shirdi at all? Thinking in this way, I postponed my Shirdi trip, but inevitable must happen, and it happened in my case as follows. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a Prant officer, was going on a tour to Basin. From Thana, he came to Dadar and was waiting for the train bound for Basin. In the meanwhile, a Bandra local turned up. He sat in it and came to Bandra and sent for me and took me to ask putting off my Shirdi trip. Nana's argument for my Shirdi trip was convincing and delightful, so I decided to start for Shirdi the same night. I packed up my luggage and started for Shirdi. I planned to go to Dadar and there to catch the train for Manmad, and so I booked myself for Dadar and sat in the train. While the train was to start, a Mohammedan came hastily to my compartment, seeing all my paraphernalia, asked me where I was born. I told him my plan. Then he suggested that I should straightly go to Boribandar and not get down at Dadar, for the Manmad mail did not get down at Dadar at all. If this little miracle or Leela had not happened, I would not have reached Shirdi the next day as settled, and many doubts would have assailed me, but that was not to be. As fortune favored me, I reached Shirdi the next day before 9 or 10 a.m. Mr. Baha Sahib Dishit was waiting for me there, and this was in 1910 AD when there was only one place, Sadewada, for lodging pilgrim devotees. After alighting from the Tonga, I was anxious to have darshana when the great devotee Tatya Sahib Nulhar returned from the masjid and said that Sai Baba was at the corner of the Vada and that I should first get the preliminary darshana and then after bath I could see him at leisure. Hearing this, I ran and prostrated before Baba, and then my joy knew no bounds. I found more than what Nana Chandarkar had told me. All my senses were satisfied, and I forgot thirst and hunger. The moment I touched Sai Baba's feet, I began a new lease of life. I felt myself much obliged to those who spurred and helped me to get the darshana, and I considered them as my real relatives, and I cannot repay their debt. I only remember them and prostrate before them. The peculiarity of Sai Baba's darshana, as I found it, is that by his darshana our thoughts are changed. The force of previous action is abated, and gradually non-attachment of dispassion towards worldly objects grown up. It is by the merit of actions in many past births that such darshana is got. And if only you see Sai Baba, really all the world becomes or assumes the form of Sai Baba. On the first day of my arrival in Shirdi, there was a discussion between me and Bala Saheb Bate regarding the necessity of a guru. I contended, why should we lose our freedom and submit to others? When we have to do our duty, why a guru is necessary? One must try his best and save himself. What can the guru do to a man who does nothing but sleeps indolently? Thus, I pleaded free will, while Mr. Bate took up the other side like a destiny and said, whatever is bound to happen must happen. Even great men have failed. Man proposes one way, but God disposes the other. Brush aside your cleverness, pride or egoism won't help you. This discussion, with all its pros and cons, went on for an hour or so, and as usual, no decision was arrived at. We had to stop the discussion ultimately, as we were exhausted. The net result of this was that I lost my peace of mind and found that unless there is a strong body consciousness and egoism, there would be no discussion. In other words, it is the egoism which breeds discussion. Then, when we went to the masjid with others, Baba asked Kaga Sahib Dikshit the following: what was going on in Wada? What was the discussion about? And staring at me, Baba further added, what did this Hemadpant say? Hearing these words, I was much surprised. The masjid was at a considerable distance from the Sadewada, where I was staying and where the discussion was going on. How could Baba know our discussion unless he be omniscient and inner ruler of us all? I began to think why Sai Baba should call me by the name Hemadpant. This word is a correct form of Hemadri Pant. This Hemadri Pant was a well-known minister of the kings Mahadev and Ramadev of Devgiri of Yadav dynasty. He was a very learned, good-natured and author of good works such as Chatruvaga Chintamani, dealing with the spiritual subjects, and Raja Prasthasti. He invented and started new methods of accounts and was the originator of the Modi script. That is a Marathi shorthand. But I was the quite opposite, and enormous and have a dull, mediocre intellect. So I could not understand why the name or title was conferred upon me. But thinking seriously upon it, I thought that the title was a dart to destroy my ego, so that I should always remain meek and humble. It was also a compliment paid to me for the cleverness in the discussion, looking to the future history. We think that Baba's word was the significant and prophetic, as we find that he looked after the management of Sai Sanstan very intelligently, kept nicely all the accounts, and was also the author of such great work, Sai Satcharitra, which deals with such important and spiritual subjects such as jnana, bhakti, dispassion, self-surrender and self-realization. Hemadpant has left no note nor memo but what Baba said regarding this subject, but Kaga Sahib Dikshit has published his notes regarding this matter. Next day, after Hemadpant's meeting with the Sai Baba, Kaga Sahib went to Baba and asked whether he should leave Shirdi. Baba said yes. Someone asked Baba where to go. Baba said high up. Then the man said, how is the way? Baba said, there are many ways leading there. There is one way also from here, that is Shirdi. The way is difficult. There are tigers and wolves in the jungle on the way. Kaga Sahib asked, but Baba, what if we take a guide with us? Baba answered, then there is no difficulty. The guide will take you straight to your destination, avoiding wolves, tigers and ditches on the way. If there be no guide, there is a danger of you being lost in the jungles or falling into ditches. Mr. Dabolkar was the present on this occasion. He thought that this was the answer Baba gave to the question whether Guru was necessity. And he thereupon took the hint and that no discussion of the problem whether man is free or bound is of any use in spiritual matters, but on the contrary real Paramatha is possible only as a result of the teachings of the Guru, as is illustrated in this chapter of the original work in the instances of great avatars like Rama and Krishna, who had to submit themselves to their gurus for self realization, and that only virtues necessary for the progress and faith and patience. Bow to Shirdi Sai, peace to be all.